if they decide like, oh, I'm going to sweep the leg, but it's like, what is the other person going to do? Yes, I know.
Sweep the leg,
Johnny. And then like, well, how do you counter that? You know, you do your crane kick or whatever. And, but like just finding that those steps and everything and almost treating it like a real fight. I mean, obviously you can go back and change things like, oh no, this would be cooler or this would make more sense or whatever. But you almost gotta let it just go its path, because if you, I don't want to say if you choreograph it too much, it becomes inorganic, but it's like, it becomes too played out, like, you know, too much of a choreographed thing. Mm-hmm. That's a word. Yeah. You're a beautiful person. Don't ever sell yourself short like that.
So never give a discount is what you're saying?
Never give a discount.
Never give in. Never surrender.
You heard it here, guys.
Never surrender.
Never give up. Never surrender.
Yes.
Where that's from?
I forget.
So then no.
I mean, I know I've heard it.
Leave him alone. It's from Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yeah, never mind. Yeah. I have seen it. I have heard it, but I'm trying to forget it.
Who doesn't love Tim Allen?
How do you not love Galaxy Quest?
Let me tell you, it was marketed to me as like legit good sci-fi.
It is legit good sci-fi.
And then I saw the Marvel logo come up, and I'm like, oh god, this is going to be a Marvel.
Marvel? Oh, you're thinking of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, sorry, Galaxy. Okay, Galaxy Quest is a good film. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I was just like,
sorry.
I'm like, did Marvel help make that movie?
All the galaxy names, you know.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
I'm easily confused.
Yes.
Well, this will be a great episode.
Yeah, right.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy, Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, I preferred the TV series for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but it's a little low budget.
Sure.
That's the point.
It's typical BBC, I assume, right?
Yeah, typical 80s BBC.
Mm-hmm.
80s.
Yeah.
Well,
the
welcome.
Worst time. Hello.
All the executives are like, we don't understand sci-fi.
Welcome.
Sure, yeah.
What?
No, they kind of do, but yeah, welcome everybody to Bards and Balladeers podcast.
Well, we still have like a minute of bullshitting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we can duck it in. We're
No.
We are not required to bullshit.
Yes, it is. It says in the contract.
That's
3 minutes of bullshitting.
That's the maximum.
Oh, okay, fine. You reach the limit. Welcome.
Welcome to Bards and Balladeers podcast. Yes. Thanks for joining us. It's a podcast about story and narrative in all its forms. I am Kate. I'm an author of fantasy and science fantasy in a way.
I'm Oscar. I write historical fiction, nonfiction, and eventually science fiction.
I'm Rio, and I'm sick. And I write stuff.
He is and he does.
Yeah.
True.
So forgive me for any weird sounding vocal noises that might come out during this thing, and just kind of be okay.
We'll leave on editing.
No, leave it in. This is real life.
Sure.
I write books too. I do fantasy, adventure fantasy, tribal fantasy, all kinds of fantasy. Your fantasy,
but
not typical fantasy, because he hates that.
Yes, not typical fantasy. Not high fantasy. Is that what they consider typical fantasy? Right?
I think it's
epic fantasy, high fantasy.
I don't think there's a good way to. Ironically, there's not a good way to pigeonhole what typical fantasy is.
Because there is soft fantasy too.
I'd say Hero's Journey is
okay. Yeah, Hero's Journey. Not that.
And places you could find us and subscribe to us are YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. And we'll also have links in the description below for things and areas that you could find us always, all the time. Find us on all the places. And then we don't have any special events coming up just yet.
Christmas.
Of course, there's always Christmas.
A very special event.
That's actually exclusive to Bards and Balladeers podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you celebrate Christmas, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We saved Christmas.
Yeah, we did it just for you.
Yeah.
There's a story somewhere in there.
Always. There's a story in everything. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, right.
You know? And then this week, we're talking about combat in story.
Yeah.
A very requested topic for us.
Highly requested by literal multitudes of audience members.
Letters?
Multiples of one.
Right. A whole dojo came and requested it at our house. It's like, please talk about fighting. No one knows that we fight anymore. Mm-hmm. We need money.
Poe from Kung Fu Panda literally came up to our door.
Yep.
It was great.
Literally. He's like, skadoosh. And then
we were like, Jack Black. He's like, no, I'm a panda.
But you're not even wearing a panda costume. Yeah, well. Yeah, so fighting, it's a great topic.
You guys have all the guests.
Yeah.
We do. We're just,
we just post our address online and see who comes.
You were sick and hallucinating, but
that's probably it.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you last time I got sick? I had the flu, and I decided to watch Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
No, you've oddly not told me this story.
Okay. Or because it may or may not have been real. But I was so feverish and so delusional. Like I wasn't really sure if I was watching the movie and if what was happening was actually happening. And I went and watched it again. I was like, oh, this movie is really that weird. Like, and so it was all this weird, like it was very creative, very, very beautiful and vibrant and everything. But
because it's the same director as
Luc Besson,
Fifth Element.
Mm-hmm.
And he also does Leon the Professional. I don't know what else he does.
He did Lucy. He also did.
He did Lucy?
He did Lucy, yeah.
I still haven't watched it.
If you'd like to buy any of Luc Besson's work, no, sorry. Besson. Yeah. This is not my French practice hour.
No, that's next hour.
Next hour.
But yeah, combat scenes in fiction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the importance of those is obvious to anyone who writes genre fiction, like, fantasy, sci-fi, like there's combat and nearly all that kind of stuff. I'd say romance maybe is a little light on the combat, but depending.
It's funny. I have thoughts on that actually that we can get into later as we explore it more. But
depends how you define combat. That's all I will say.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the I've written combat scenes in my published works that were not role played through, but most of my writing is based on RPGs, and a lot of my experience with just the intricacies of combat are a little flavored with that, which can be a detractor if if you go from role playing to writing stories. There's so much unrealistic crap, and I know like there's a comic I saw once about this big warrior tied to a tree, and there's a bunch of orcs just shooting arrows at him. And he's got 15 arrows in him. And he's like, is that all you got? I still have 75 hit points. I
was going to say, I thought you were going to say they all missed.
No.
They're not the stormtroopers of fantasy.
No, it's just to show the unreality of hit points and how that all works. But
actually, sorry, real quick. We've been playing the Oblivion remaster from Elder Scrolls. And there's a point where you keep shooting people and they just have arrows sticking out of them. Yeah. There's 16 arrows, like you say, and it's and then they finally die and you just grab all the arrows back.
Because I want my arrows.
Yeah, we used to do that in games. Like, arrows are expensive.
Yeah,
they are.
I'm nowhere near an armory right now.
Yeah, right. I can't make my own. But, I'm not Fletcher.
But you are right that the acknowledgement of hit points in the dialogue almost ruins the suspended belief.
Yeah, I think even GURPS has a thing called high pain threshold. If you don't have that, you don't take pain penalties the turn after you get hit.
Interesting.
Everyone else does.
I like that.
Yeah, it helps.
GURPS
but even pain penalties, if you don't role play it, it's like, okay, well, I'm at this kind of penalty to do things, so I guess I don't do that. But you still role playing the whole getting hit by deadly weapons thing can be good. You don't just it's all manufactured points and, just statistics. Like, for example, sort of, it's kind of my own personal lead in I was thinking of on the way here was, you guys have role played before. Let me know if you have not experienced this kind of thing, but where everyone's talking, everyone's in a combat and, someone's saying, oh, if I do this and you can do that and whatever. And I had a group of people. I was really tired of this is called metagaming for those of you who don't know, where it's you're just doing all the strategizing. And I had a group that was doing that. And, and he'll go over there and whatever. If you do this, you do that. And they started doing their plan. And the very next enemy that had a turn did something completely different. As if to predict what they were going to do.
I was going to say, because you're the GM and you knew what they were planning, so you just kind of countered that?
No, they're like, well, how did he know what we were going to do? And I'm like, you said what you were going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You choreographed the thing right in front of him.
I was like, you told him over there, what language did you do that? And he speaks that language. Well, I wasn't really saying, well, how are you planning it?
Yeah. Just telepathy, just gonna.
Yeah. So it's just every once in a while. I mean, I don't like to be a hard ass on that sort of thing. But I'm like, I'm just going to bust him on this right now because this is out of control.
Right.
That's really funny.
That is pretty good.
I approve of that, especially if you do have a really strong group that does unify well or whatever, you kind of gotta like there's almost like rules and etiquette. I feel like to role playing as well, and as the GM, you have to enforce them, but but not detract from the fun too. So that was really clever to me. That's that's a lot of fun.
You're trying not to be a stickler about just. No, this is method acting and everything you say happens. And no, you don't want that. But especially in games where you've got like everyone has like a little figure and there's like a battle map, which is I try to really minimize that myself.
Are you more theater of the mind then, you mean? Or
yeah, and like I'll have miniatures and like stuff like that for like a general idea of where people are and what they can do. But I know certain editions of certain games are. They rely very heavily on having that all mapped out, and like there's certain rules.
Well, they're trying to sell you stuff. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I try to avoid that sort of thing. Like games like that really lend themselves to that kind of table talk where it's like you're just treating it like a board game.
Right. Which it's one of those things like, you ever played Pandemic?
I have not.
So it's one of those things where it is a cooperative game, but it's just like you're basically the people who like know better or whatever, or like have a better strategy, will just tell the other people like, you should do this next turn. And then it doesn't become like it's cooperative, but it's mostly like one person playing for other people. Right?
I've played a lot of games like that. It was like, can I play my own game?
Yeah. It's just like, and I like what you say, because again, fighting should be a very dynamic thing. Whenever you see it, like you can prepare for battle, but once you're in it, you're reacting to everything. Right.
Right.
And then like, you shouldn't be able to talk. It should be like, okay, it's your turn. What are you doing? Like, and then the person who's coming up next, sure, maybe we should be able to think about what they're going to do then, but it's just like, it should be more organic that way. I prefer that. I think that's more fun. Yeah.
Well, and I do think people should be able to talk when it's sort of like, there's a distance between you and your character and you don't fully understand the situation they're in.
Right.
So talk that kind of helps resolve that distance, I think can be helpful because you're sort of helping people realize, well, here's what your character sees and here's what they would know. And, your character knows things about fighting that you don't, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So I don't feel like that has to be that rigid. That's where I want that sort of thing to be. You can talk that out. Sure. But when it gets to full blown metagaming, like, I'm sorry, no.
Right. Stacking my turns, like, you know.
But one thing, and this kind of goes more into our topic, but like one thing that I think that's a symptom a lot of the time, like what we're talking about is a symptom of not really playing your character, not really knowing how your character deals with combat.
Sure.
And I think in all of our writing, we've had to sort of encounter that, we've had to deal with that to some degree. Like, I know I've mentioned a few times, like watching the commentary for Pirates of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. One of the things Johnny Depp says in there, is, even though he's gotten, the training from Bob Anderson about the fencing and the fighting, is he sort of imagined that Captain Jack would be kind of like Muhammad Ali, who had kind of his guard down, like not really wanting to fight.
Sure.
But that would be his sort of starting stance. And so he sort of adopted that for his character because Jack is sort of like least effort possible character.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And also don't reveal all your cards too, in the first steps of battle.
And so he adopted that into his character, and people I think aren't thinking of like, how does my character approach combat? Mm-hmm. So like that's sort of a beginning thought for me. Just, what do you guys encounter with having the intersection of character and combat? How does a character inform combat? How does combat inform character for you guys?
I do know especially with mine, I enjoy getting them into situations and then figuring them out how to get out of it. Like I will sometimes intentionally like do something like, oh, they should do this, or they should like lose this item, or they should get captured or something like that. And what's the most, I don't want to say logical, but what's the most fun, I guess, to get out of there that is still logical? Because it's one of those things that like I almost have to go at it more or less step by step and let it play out, and they'll change what you've already decided. Like, if they decide like, oh, I'm going to sweep the leg, but it's like, what is the other person going to do? Yes, I know. Sweep the leg, Johnny. Then like, well, how do you counter that? You do your crane kick or whatever. And, but like just finding that those steps and everything and almost treating it like a real fight. I mean, obviously you can go back and change things like, oh no, this would be cooler or this would make more sense or whatever. But you almost gotta let it just go its path, because if you, I don't want to say if you choreograph it too much, it becomes inorganic, but it's like, it becomes too played out, like, you know, too much of a choreographed thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a word. Yeah. So I just, for me, like to let it kind of go, like where it's going to go and see where it goes, and enjoy that kind of that step of seeing how the fight's going to unfold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To play off of that too, I think one of the things that I enjoy most about fight scenes is how if you establish your characters first, the fight scene can then reveal more about the character. Like for an example, like Indy and Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, when we already know Indy so much throughout the film, and I think it's about like maybe halfway through the film when he gets to the part in Cairo where he's approached by a giant swordsman and who does a really cool like sword maneuver and just like really shows off to show like how he's going to be able to, you know, really beat Indy really well with a sword.
Kick your ass.
Yeah. And Indy just takes his gun and then just shoots him. And, you know, it's a really efficient fight. But I think it's fight scenes like that reveal more of the character or develop what we already know about the character, I think is a fun way to use combat.
Yeah.
And
the persona.
Yeah. And one, because character is one of my favorite things about storytelling. So I think it sort of makes sense that that's one of my favorite things, but it also reveals like what kind of choices do they make under pressure? Like what can they handle as a character? Sometimes people don't handle things very well. I don't have an example of one where somebody just like freezes or
Saving Private Ryan.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like was it Upham just frozen on the stairs?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. It's so heartbreaking. I say I love it, but it's because
that's a disturbing scene. That's legit. I mean, I know war stuff. I'm speaking as someone who watches a lot of war type content, a lot of, you know, I can watch brutal stuff, but there are some things that I've seen where I'm just like, that's flat out disturbing.
But I think it was also like extremely relatable too. Like when none of us, majority of us have never been put into a real life combat situation where it was a true fight, physical fight for your life. Like setting aside other mental battles and emotional struggles with, you know, abuses and like domestic, you know, issues. But that right there is something that hopefully like nobody ever really has to go through.
Right. And it's a little different from getting in a street fight where maybe you're fighting for your life there, but knowingly entering into a battle, like a military kind of situation. Mm-hmm. And like, I might not come out, they might not come out. We both might come out like wounded, you know, like your life has changed.
Mm-hmm. And how that fear can grip you and compel you to do nothing.
Right.
And so it's funny actually you bring up Saving Private Ryan. I think that is one of my favorite war movies of all time. And again, saying favorite is really difficult to say because of how complicated and difficult a lot of the scenes are to get through as a viewer. But because the characters are so well developed, it's again, just I love it.
I mean, you could say favorite, you could say hard hitting. In a way you appreciate, like what makes something favorite. That might even be a whole other episode.
That is, yeah.
How do we judge quality, you know? But one of my favorite things, going back to the Indiana Jones example you mentioned, is that scene where he shoots the guy who's waving his sword around like, I'm going to beat you. I think that scene isn't only made by him doing that. It's also made by the fact that he turns around and calls for Marion before the guys even hit the ground.
Yeah.
Like he's just like he fires the shot and then he's over it.
Yeah. He's focused.
And that was really more just as telling about the character. Like I'm done with you. Bang. Okay. It hit, you know,
that confidence of
he's
it.
not watching with any gravitas. Like I just killed him. Is everything okay? Like, no, just like whatever.
You okay, man?
Here's how I deal with you. I dealt with that. Now what's the next thing, you know?
Right.
And
very Harrison Ford too.
Yeah. And that's how you use the combat, but it still always ties into everything about your character. Like he's making a clear prioritization in that scene.
Yes.
Like, how important is this guy? Not very important enough to spend a bullet on, but not time.
Yes. Yes. Very well said. And actually that's one thing about like fight scenes that I think it ties into this, so forgive me. But earlier you had mentioned romance. And within the last like couple months, so as somebody that I'll admit, romance is not my favorite genre. Really in any shape or form. If it is a movie or book or story focused on romance, it's typically not my favorite like subject matter. But I love fighting films. I love action films. I love movies or books or even just like short stories about like martial arts or fighting. And I made the realization that in a way, they're essentially the same thing because it is like a build up and a
culmination.
Culmination. Thank you. I was just going to skip the word. A build up, a culmination of tensions that are attempting to be released in a way.
Sure.
A catharsis in some way, shape, or form.
Released relationally.
Yes. And so I think that they're two sides of one coin. I don't think that's the right phrasing
they have
for
a
it.
song all about that.
They're both sort of dopamine hits, you know.
That too, which tracks why I like fight scenes.
You talking about Love and Battle? Like there's dopamine hits on both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, so you ever seen Jarhead?
No.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
I have not seen the movie.
Yeah.
I love Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal, he talks about, I think it was based on a book, but like how when he first was shot at, he froze and he pissed himself and everything because he just like, he'd never been shot at and his life is online. And then he just kind of didn't know. But he said every subsequent time he got into a fight, he got hard. He got an erection, like, you know, because it became this adrenaline, this
fight or flight.
Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where now he looks for the adrenaline, you know, and it becomes a different sensation for him because like I don't know if it was because he lived through one battle or because now it's just the only thing that makes him feel alive. I have no idea. Like,
yeah. You know? I don't even know that I meant dopamine in that sense. Like, I meant more like it's a strong sensation.
Sure.
Whether it's dopamine, adrenaline, it makes you feel something strong.
Yeah.
And I agree with that because I wrote something here. I just want to read it specifically because I want to make sure I get that point. As opposed to sex potentially uniting characters or relationally, you know, bringing people together or further developing a relationship, I guess. Fight scenes often depict a necessity like for survival. And I think that's kind of like that example too.
But there's like, I don't know if you've heard of in psychology, like the 4 F's. Like the trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Fawn, you could show an analog between fawn and like romance. Yeah. Fawn is sort of like you know, roll over, you know, submit, whatever.
Yeah.
No.
Stop.
And then there's fight, which obviously is you know, going like fighting with that person. And there's freeze and flight, and therapists say the easiest trauma responses to work with are fight and fawn because they're both relational. They both require like 2 people, like the person doing that, engaging in that response, and the person they're engaging in it with. So if for a fight, you have to have another person you're fighting with. Sure. To fawn, you're fawning to somebody. For flight,
could be anything.
You don't have to have another person. Like if you're running away from them, you are distancing from interacting. If you freeze, you're not interacting. And so therapists often will use the fight dynamic to, you know, help you interact and like help you deal with your stuff. If you're freezing or fleeing from whatever the subject is or the interaction, that's not relational and it's harder for them to work with.
Sure.
And so like when you said, you know, like romance and fight scenes, like that's fight fawn in a sense. They're both relational. They both show character and interaction dynamics, and they can both move the plot along. Yeah. And, you know, you get a lot of characters that run away from things and don't deal with things. Oh, yeah.
Even your Saving Private Ryan example was a example of freeze.
Freeze. It's very strong freeze response. And I think that, you know, in combat situations, I think some of the better soldiers, better combatants, even if we're not talking about soldiers, kind of size up their combatants and see, you know, like the guy who walked past him, he's just like, oh, he's not going to do anything to me. Yeah. Didn't bother to kill him or anything. It's right. Yeah. He's frozen. He's not going to challenge me.
Sure.
He's just, his whole demeanor was like, let the guy go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that helps some people be better fighters just to sort of be able to size people up in the moment.
Right.
That's a character trait as well. Just,
right. And analyze, how am I going to approach this? Which method am I going to choose?
I mean, that's like Macross Plus talks about that a little bit, where he goes, so I'm given to understand that a pilot can understand a situation in an instant. So I ask you, who do you think I am? Millard's son? Yeah. If you ever watch Macross Plus, it's great.
It's been a while, but yeah.
It's when his son was talking to Jan for the first time. Cause what's the kid doing here?
Yeah. It's like, he's like, well, what do you think he's doing here? Is he your son?
Yeah. When the commander's black and he's like white and
but, I never. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That is funny.
But I was going to bring up like one of the fascinating things I find about fighting and everything is that like, so many different perspectives. And I know a lot of like one of the biggest things that we have so many perspectives on, just because I think we have just a lot more recorded history of it, is World War II and everything. And there's so many movies and things that bring up this topic and the different stories that come along with it. I mean, you can think of like Pearl Harbor, you can think of like Darkest Hour, you can think of Dunkirk, 1917 is different, but those perspectives of it,
and even just the stuff that's a little more one-sided, like Dresden,
sure,
bombing campaign, all that stuff,
Schindler's List, all this stuff, like just because when such great wars and I guess battles in general, like they affect so many and in so many different ways that like everyone's fighting some kind of battle, just whether it might be for survival, whether it might just be like physically, whether it's choosing to protect, all that stuff. And I think that again, fighting is such a visceral and innate thing to any living creature. Like you can't, I mean, again, we live in a civilized thing. So our biggest struggle is whether or not we're going to have enough food or money to buy food maybe, or the next iPhone for some people, it's these different like levels of battle and fighting and everything, which is...
Or at the holidays, fighting people to get those things.
Oh, Jesus, right, yeah. I did that once. I did that once at Walmart. Never again. No, I literally was like parkouring off fucking like, off of... quacking off of like different fixtures just to get like a Nintendo Switch for my niece. I'm just like, geez, it was just ridiculous. Like,
good
no.
for you. I would.
I mean, I kind of liked it because I was able to put my skills to use or whatever, but it's just like, nah, this is not worth it. I'm going to kill myself one of these days.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think that to steal somebody's phrasing, I don't know who originally said it first, but the backdrop.
Probably me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what you said.
That's at Churchill.
Oh, no, but like the back, having a conflict that we're all already familiar with as a backdrop for a story doesn't necessarily make writing this story easier. I do think that it quickly gets us into a setting. Sure. So like take all of those, World War II, World War I movies, for examples. And maybe that's one of the reasons why, World War II movies and other ones in general are so gripping and compelling, like Saving Private Ryan, hard hitting because of the enormity of the conflict that it's inspired by.
I think part of why they're hard hitting is because they use this backdrop we're all familiar with, and then they show us a part of it that we only thought we were familiar with. And so it's hard hitting because you have this strong assumption going in, like this is something I know about. And the stronger that assumption is, the more shocked you are when you find out that assumption was wrong.
Yeah.
And so like lots of people knew about World War II, but like people going into that movie were floored by some of the details they were not aware of. Like, oh yeah, we know people like invaded the beaches of Normandy. Okay, what did that look like? How did that go? Oh, well, it was that bad.
People had never really seen blood on sand before, you know, like to that.
Well, the guy picking up his own arm and to walk it off with it.
Yeah,
like that stuff is.
And it. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just saying it's shock value, but not for shock value's sake. Sometimes it's realistic. That stuff happened.
Yeah.
I mean, and just the fact that the German machine gunners, these boats, the way they opened was the front. Yeah, and they would aim inside the boat and just get everyone in there. Right. And so when the Marines did like Pacific theater, like the Marines were a new concept and they didn't really do the European front. When the Marines got off those same boats in the Pacific theater, they jumped over the sides because they had learned from the military command, like how D-Day went.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know if they started doing that before D-Day. I think a lot of definitely after D-Day they were doing that, but their
conditioned to at that point.
Right. Yeah. And their own command, to do it. We're doing it this way. And it was a lot more successful in those situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, you go into this thing thinking you know about it and you come out just blown away about how much you really didn't know. I think that's part of how hard hitting it is.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. No, I agree.
The more ingrained in your culture it is, the more you think you know it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But really none of us was alive for it, and a lot of the soldiers, for whatever reason that you might imagine, didn't feel like talking about it in great detail.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No one wants to relive that for sure.
Right.
I was thinking about it as you guys were talking about why I think that fighting or even conflict is such a impactful thing for some people. And I think because a lot of times when we have a fight or when people are battling, is that it's such a black and white thing. And I mean, I'm not even saying like black and white, who's right and wrong and everything, but it's like, it's just two conflicting forces that someone's going to win, or someone has to come on top, because unless they come to some kind of resolution to be in the middle of the fight, it's like, you are my brother or whatever, and, but it's such an easy thing to just latch on to something. You can see a fight, you'll see the fight between like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker and be like, yeah, Darth Vader's the bad guy. You can, even if you didn't know anything about it, just visually, a lot of times you can tell. But if you see like a guy beating up a girl, whatever, you probably, societally, maybe just genetically too, like you'll say, oh, we got to defend the girl, but you don't know what she did, but there's a way to easily latch onto conflicts, I think, in stories and in like songs and side with somebody, whether again, right or wrong, you can just easily make that leap to something, and I feel that it's very ingrained in us and very visceral for us, like I said before. And I think that's why people like it so much. Yeah. I may be wrong. I have no idea. Like
it feeds into our bias.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's like,
good or bad.
You come into that individual situation with an assumption that you know enough. And that sets the stage for how much you're going to be right, how much you're going to be wrong.
Right. Yeah.
But it determines your initial actions, your initial approach to it. I know that kind of leads into, I think, there are different reasons for combat. For example, I've mentioned the show before. It's a mystery show. It's based on novels, but it's called Campion, and it's set in the 30s. And, I was watching this episode. I'm sure, I haven't read the book version of it, but in the show, there's this guy he kind of gets off on like going through people's things.
Like personal effects
or like he works in this office and there was a murder in the office. Yeah. This guy was found in this vault.
Okay.
Like basically poisoned by carbon monoxide, probably from a grate outside. There's like cars parked. They could feed a hose.
Sure. Yeah.
But someone had come in there over the weekend. And so of course he's the prime suspect, but someone had moved the body before Monday, the actual killer. But anyway, this guy who gets off on going through people's things had been down there and had seen the body and everything, but he hadn't told anyone because he'd have to tell how he knew. So anyway, at some point, this detective is investigating. He goes down in there and the place, it's like open and he's looking around. And this guy who's in there at that time going through stuff again, first thing he does is shut the light off and then just showers the detective with blows. Like it's basically combat to escape without being seen, without anyone knowing who he is.
Yeah.
So the objective there is to get away without being, without his identity being revealed.
Yeah.
It's not to really wound the other person, kill the other person. It's not survival. It's a kind of societal survival.
Sure. Yeah.
Reputation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like my life could be ruined. And like stuff like that, like, I think just fighting to escape. Like I was trained karate for 3 years as a kid.
Blue belt?
And brown. It's like right before black.
Yeah.
But one of the things we were taught, if you get in an actual street fight, hurt the person enough so they don't follow you and run.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's like, stomp like at a downward angle on their shin, break their leg, and then run away.
And then you're good. Yeah.
So that was kind of the style that focused on that. So I don't know, like, do you guys have any thoughts on other reasons that people engage in fighting or combat that aren't about like war or like, like ending the other person's life or
Oh, that's a hard one.
I do.
Oh, yeah?
And it's funny. It's something I had to ask Rio about because I have a character who in one of my stories that he's mostly a guardian, like defender type, like archetype. And so the concept for this character is not necessarily to just decimate the enemy, it's to outlast or to survive or endure whatever is being thrown at you. And one of the inspirations for this, and I feel bad because I've never actually watched the series or the exact show that it's from, but it's from an episode of Next Generation with Data playing
I busted him up.
I don't get it. I don't know it. I just know that Data is.
The way you delivered that line too is great.
I wish I knew more, and that's why I'm like almost embarrassed to share this example. But
Data is the best character.
That's what came to mind when you were talking about it.
Does that match what
you said? Outlast, yeah.
Yes.
Because at the end he's just like they like Data, you did it. You busted him up, and it's just like I busted him up. Like, it's just like,
So for viewers' sake, would one of you be willing to share? Because like I have my own explanation of it, but because you two are experts in the actual episode, I wouldn't mind if you took it over.
Yeah.
Because that is one of my favorite like examples of responding to fights or why somebody might get into a fight is not necessarily to fight, but to outlast.
And it's a different style of fighting. I mean, it's actually a more like a siege tactic.
Tell me more.
Sieges are often like surround your opponent and just kind of outlast them because you're keeping them from getting food. Then they're just starving to death.
Yes.
It's like the Trade Federation barricade.
And honestly, the scene, like, if you want to tell it, but like,
sure. No, you can go. You're doing fine.
The scene is like,
I like this.
Data playing this video game with this master, and he got beat the first time. Data got beat. Data's an android, in case you haven't seen the show.
Yeah.
He got beat by this person playing this video game. And for his rematch, Picard tells him it is possible to do everything right and still lose.
Yeah.
And he thinks about that and comes back later, and for the rematch, he decides he's just going to try. His goal is going to be a draw. He's not trying to win. He's trying for a draw at every opportunity. So he passes up potential opportunities to win in order to go for a draw. And in the end, the guy rage quits the game, says he's made a mockery of this. And people are like, you won. He's like, no, I achieved the objective. And people just like, oh, okay. And he's like, I busted him up because someone said, we want you to bust him up.
Yeah.
But I mean, in theory, if the guy had not rage quit and they kept doing that, eventually the guy's going to have to sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
They can outlast them that way. Yeah,
exactly,
for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. And as that being one of the main inspirations for one of my characters, it then, tying back to something I talked about earlier, it then makes the moments where he does decide, okay, I am going to take the final blow, like that much more, I guess, impactful is what I'm hoping. Because, the different choices you make within battle are sometimes very telling as for a character. And again, my character bias, but that's my only example, really, I would say.
Well, I think that, taking a different approach and waiting for the final blow, like there's different reasons to do that. Like in Dune, the first guy that Paul fights, Jamis.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't want to kill Jamis. He's never killed anyone, and he doesn't have any anger towards this guy. And I know in the book, it's kind of from Jessica's perspective and his mother. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
And she's seeing Paul fight, and it looks like there are ways in which he's kind of being deliberately slow. He's like, oh, he's used to shield fighting.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And with shield fighting, you need to be slow because the slow blade is what can penetrate the shield. But this is unshielded fighting.
Yeah.
But, I think someone asks him afterwards, like, why were you so slow? And he's like, I didn't want to kill him. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't necessarily that he was being slow because he's trained in shield fighting. He was being slow because he didn't want to kill the guy. He gave him opportunities to yield in the movie and everything.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you're a reluctant fighter, or you're just trying to escape, or you're going for a draw, just trying to outlast them, which is, I think, an Iceman tactic in the original Top Gun, which is like, you just keep controlling, you just keep on them, and you wait for them to make a mistake, and then you fire the kill shot.
Right. It is also like I think like a hunting tactic also.
Right.
I want to say like mid Africa, like middle of Africa, like certain tribes, they would like try to outrun. And they would chase their prey down.
Just wear it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I knew which tribes or which.
Somebody said one time that humans are like the Terminators of the like natural world, because we can endure and outlast any animal. Like a lot of animals can outrun us, but we can follow them and track them. That's why we're such good hunters, to track people, because we can just find out where they are. And eventually there they are. We got them, you know.
I know there was some video I got shown in high school or something. It was about an African hunt, and they were hunting a giraffe. So I'm like, I kind of want the giraffe to win, but but I like, they use this kind of poison that like slows down the animal, that kind of over time it slows them
with
down
their arrows or whatever.
Yeah. And it doesn't, taint the meat or anything. So like they get the animal, and then they're tracking it for like, a day or two.
Yeah.
And then when they finally catch up with it, it's just not as, it doesn't put up as much of a fight. It still puts up a hell of a fight, but not as much as it would have. And I don't know. I love giraffes.
It was zebra. Hey, who cares?
All meat comes from some kind of animal, right?
It's true.
And glue.
Or ants.
Meat comes from glue
sometimes.
Protein.
Just kidding.
One of the stories I was thinking about too, while you guys were talking about with conflict, with a lot of times, like, conflict against nature is a big thing in a lot of movies. We've seen so many disaster movies, we've seen it, but like one of my favorite movies or examples of this is Sunshine, where the sun is dying and they have to restart the sun. It's a great movie and everything, but sometimes in those battles, it's that sacrifice that you have to make to win. It's knowing that you're going into something that you're not going to survive, but doing it anyways. That kind of mentality, I think, is always a wonderful, ability that people have as fighters. The fight against yourself, the fight against your own survival, the fight to do something as bigger than just who you are, in order to succeed.
For a higher cause.
Sacrifice. Yeah, for a higher cause. So, and I find those conflicts interesting, especially when there's no like face to the enemy. Like, So.
Yeah, there's that aspect of combat where you're very removed from the enemy, like, in a bunker, strategizing, ordering people around, for example, or if you're, like flying a bomber, again, Dresden.
Oh, sure. Or even Hiroshima, dropping that bomb.
And at some point, there's a difference between killing and combat. If you're not contested, is it really combat? Like if you have complete control, then you're just killing. But at the same time, in a broader sense, it could be combat, like some aspect of war. So like this area can't stop you, but you need to take that area for the broader conflict.
Yeah.
So in that instant, you're maybe not engaging in combat per se, but you're engaging in the strategy that furthers the broader conflict.
Yeah.
Which is combat.
Yeah.
And so non-combat actions they have a place in the framework of combat.
Right. All the pieces that fit together. Yeah.
But still a power struggle though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like that was like the bombing of civilians by the Germans in England and by England, therefore in Germany, et cetera, which is how you get Dresden.
Yeah.
Hiroshima, Nagasaki, that sort of thing. Like, is that, the planes, while they're being shot at, are engaged in combat.
Right.
But when you're just like, we're dropping a bomb on a civilian city, that particular thing, it's sort of like that instant is not combat, but it's part of a broader conflict.
It's adding to the tensions as well. It's stirring the pot. It's adding fuel to the fire, which then makes, the other person want to retaliate, and that escalation of conflict too really adds to it might fuel the strategy. It might fuel, the overarching combat, like goals.
Stop more combat. That was the goal, right?
Yeah. And at what point, there's always that moment of, Indy with the gun against the swordsman. Like that's the definiting, final moment that will end the conflict. And when you have big wars like World War II, you know, like what are those things that will put an end to it, that will cause the treaty to be written and signed? And
war has a pacing, just like story has a pacing. War is kind of, you know, story in a way, because you're getting people to agree to fight or to surrender, and getting people to agree to things is kind of a conversation. It's just in this sense you're using ammo instead of words. But speaking of story, like, so we all write, and you know, we see conflict and or combat in other media. Like, even if you listen to the Pink Floyd's The Wall, there's like stuff in there about fighting and even World War II. So what functions do you feel like it has in story? Like, you know, I feel like it can help set pacing. And like you said, it builds suspense. And even those beats, like Indy shooting the guy with the gun, humor has its beats a lot of the time in subverting what you're expecting.
For sure.
And so that's why it's funny. You know? But like, what do you see like the value in combat in your stories to be above and beyond like the character to character interaction, like from a broader story perspective?
For me, as I was going through, you know, our notes and everything and thinking about it a lot there, I've talked enough about, I think, what fighting scenes do for developing character and revealing character. But on the other side of that, I also think that combat scenes or fighting scenes also has a big opportunity to reveal world building as well. Like, so, you know, the Ip Man movies, you know, I'll say Ip Man #1, like let's go with the first movie. It's about, there's a martial arts style, like a sect of Kung Fu that's called Wing Chun. And there was Wing Chun.
That's it.
Just kidding.
That's a different thing.
I'm not touching on that. But there was a master of Wing Chun known as Ip Man, who is the guy that trained Bruce Lee. Thank you. Who then created his own style. But this Ip Man, you know, character, he was a real person. He wasn't the one that created it or anything, but this movie, he was just a pivotal, like, Chinese, I keep saying character because in the movie he is, but like just a figure. He's a very pivotal Chinese figure. And so in the first Ip Man movie, they start out showing that there's so many different martial arts like groups and styles in that same region. I don't remember. I think it's Foshan. I don't want to be wrong about it though. So they show so many different styles depicted in that region. And it's just one of my favorite things because it adds to world building without taking away from the major plot, like of the story. Sure. They're showing kind of what you already know, but if you don't really know, it also could be a fictional depiction, but I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of different styles in that area. And so that's just one example of world building I think that it adds to. And another one is probably in a way like The Matrix, because of the way that, you know, he learns how to do Kung Fu because it's like kind of implanted in his brain, you know, or quickly learned like that. So I do think that it has a major part with world building. Plot, you know, I think if it doesn't add to the plot, then it's not needed. But
then we could talk about a lot of like fighting movies.
Right. That is true.
Because I don't want to like crap on any like fight. Because again, fighting scenes, like I think I might have said this before in another podcast where like I love watching fight scenes. I think there's some really cool like motions and tactics and throws and punches, all stuff.
It's
that
like
look
a
really
dance.
Cool. It is like a dance. It's like, but it's like the same reason I like those is like when I like to watch like a football highlight reel or something, like to see these really cool moves and anything. I like those. I just can't watch the entire thing. You know?
Like seeing excellence on film.
Yes, you know? Absolutely. Because they are real martial artists. Like those people who are doing those things, even if it's wire work or whatever, that stuff is impressive, you know, and stuntmen, like even, what's the movie? The Stuntman, Fall Guy. Like, you know, just to give honor to all these people who do all this stuff in the background that really actually
it's hard work.
It's hard work. Yeah. And the martial artists do the same thing, you know. Now no one's fighting for their life as much anymore. You know, you didn't have like, you know, armies going against each other and like Greece or anything like that. But
and you see where sports and sort of converge on things like boxing. I don't want to say wrestling because that is more theater.
Wrestling is real.
Yeah, it depends on the wrestling.
I was going to say, it really does depend on the wrestling.
Yeah, Olympic wrestling is real.
Okay, I was like, Greco-Roman wrestling is real.
Very real.
No, I'm half Turkish. We know about wrestling.
So it's Pops Racer, but
in a way, I was just saying that. I will, you know how I just said that if the fight doesn't add to the plot, then it doesn't belong. I guess I will go against what I had said because two things. One, I will admit the raid does have more fight scenes than is probably necessary. I support each and every single one of them. But West Side Story, I think, is actually one of my favorite other depictions of, you know, combat and fighting scenes in musical or, you know, the movie, whichever one you're watching.
Snapping.
A lot of snapping. But you mentioned something about fighting also being like dancing. And I always imagine it like a ballet. Like I think that more music should be intertwined with fight scenes because it can make it that much stronger. And I think that's one reason why West Side Story, I can't say is so successful because I can't speak to the success of it. I just think that the suspended of belief of the movie or of the story follows the fighting of the gangs as dances because it's all intertwined. You know, the score is all, you know, supporting the actual combat between all these gangs in New York in, I think, the 1950s.
Oh, sorry, real quick, because I know that you had talked about Duel of the Fates. Be doing the exact same thing as what you're talking about. It's like having that music backdrop amplifies it so much in Star Wars. Like
on having an actual martial arts champion doing the
Yeah.
That's how it should be done.
Yeah.
Right.
I was thinking of that scene too. And like, I think music also relieves tension and sets pacing, and combat relieves tension and sets pacing. And there's a lot of these elements. It's like they're different elements of a symphony in a sense. And so you can get a scene that's with or without music. And if you watch it both ways, it's like, you know, the music can create discord, or harmony is sort of that sense. I think in the context we're speaking of it in, it's that sense of like catharsis, relieving tension. Combats can do that, or they can create discord. Like, why is this fight happening? Like, like, Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? You know, like, it's like, why are you so angry right now? You're not Dumbledore anymore.
This kid.
Stop shaking me.
You know, but I think the music can do that. And a lot of people, I think, landed on the music in Fifth Element because they're like, this isn't the music I would expect to hear in this scene. Yeah. And it still works. Now you can have music that doesn't belong in the scene and have it completely ruin the scene. Yeah. And fights can be the same way. And, you know, I think fights that don't add to the plot, I think the main thing that the people peddling, whatever product it is, the book or the movie or whatever, they're mostly wanting it to add to the experience, and that the plot isn't the only way to add to that. But there's still, it helps if there is a point to it. If there isn't, then a lot of the audience is just taken out of the experience. Like, well, now I just feel like you're doing it just to do it.
I mean, yeah.
And I think the same could be said for a lot of sex scenes too.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is why I think they're so like intertwined. They really, like in concept.
Sex and fighting.
If you, and it drives me nuts because.
I mean, there's two things hitting each other usually.
All my sex is fighting. No, I'm kidding.
No. You know what the ultimate fight is though? The fight against time, guys, and we're running out. So
yeah, it always time always wins.
Yep,
time always wins. No, it's true.
Time's like the house,
the house casino. Always wins.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then I think other
cash in our chips.
Other examples that I want to share about music, I can add to the Discord and actually throw some clips in there too of some of my favorite songs that are to fight scenes and whatnot.
Yeah, hit us up on the YouTube comments. More aspects of this topic you'd like to hear about. Yeah. Definitely hit us up on Discord. We'll talk more in depth about things. We like building that out slowly. We're seeing a little bit more activity there over time.
We're talking about Voltron the other day. It was great.
Yeah. I've watched a little bit of Transformers again recently.
Yeah.
The animated one or the
animated one. Yeah. There is no other one.
Shoot. Okay.
Michael Bay doesn't exist in my world.
Yeah, I know. I had that copy in my hands and it just exploded. I don't know why.
Can't understand.
All I could hear was the touch for some reason.
Yeah.
No, not that guy.
No. I've done that for karaoke.
It's great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's video of me doing that. But
maybe you'll see it someday.
That's true. We might.
But thanks so much for stopping by here at Bards and Balladeers. Regardless, rain or shower, we'll always be here, even if we're dying sick. So,
all right.
But appreciate you guys. I've been Rio.
Oscar.
I'm Kate.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.